My name is Beto. I grew up here when the church was Lodi Community Church. I loved it here, still love it here. Um, and I grew up with a love for God and a love for people that I had never known before. I went on missions trips. I helped feed the homeless and a bunch of other stuff that I can't really remember right now due to the fact that I have PTSD. And we'll get into that here in a second. Um, After I turned 17, I joined the Marine Corps, but I wasn't in the Marine Corps yet because I had yet to graduate. Here comes 18 years old, I graduate, and I head on a missions trip before I went into the Marine Corps, where I still had a love for people and my heart was still for the people. Now, I went into the Marine Corps after 9/11, so you can only imagine the stress that had put on everybody and even myself at that time. Made it through boot camp, went to my unit, and I was immediately deployed to Iraq in 2003. The first deployment was a combat deployment. My second deployment was also a combat deployment. I'm going to be talking more about my second deployment because there was a lot more that was done in that deployment than my previous one. Not that the war in Iraq was different the first time around, but there was a lot of moving parts. We didn't have a place to live in the first deployment. In the second deployment, we actually were set in a city and we defended that city until we left. So I am a combat tested Marine, and I've had to live with the fact that I've had to take people's lives. It's 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 not an easy fact to live with, especially when you grow up in the church and knowing that killing is wrong, but I understand that it was my job and I had a duty to uphold. I also understand that the Lord still loves me even though I had to do what I had to do to come back home. After the Marine Corps, which I wouldn't trade for the world, even with everything that happened, I moved to Missouri. And that's where my PTSD really started to show. And mind you, I had no idea what PTSD was and what I was going through. So it went unchecked for a very long time. It wasn't until I met my ex-wife, Michelle, and that we were in our relationship that I finally figured out what PTSD was. And for you that don't know, it's post-traumatic stress disorder. Mine just happens to be from combat. There are many different types, but mine is from war, a very ugly war. During this time, I would say a span of almost 18 years, my heart grew cold, hardened. I didn't like people. Very different from how I grew up in the church, loving people, loving everybody. I didn't have a love for anybody anymore. I didn't want to have a love for anybody anymore. I couldn't even love myself. So you can only imagine, if I don't love myself, how am I going to love somebody else? There were some pretty dark times during this 18 years, 18, 20 years, 23 years. I don't even know anymore. I tried to kill myself numerous times, but somehow somebody was always there to stop me. Somehow. I didn't realize that the Lord was working probably overtime to keep me here. It wasn't until 2 years ago that I finally understood that the Lord was here, and the Lord was for me, and He loved me, even though I felt like I didn't deserve it for the stuff that I had done, for the mistakes that I had made. 2 years ago, my ex-wife told me that she did not want to be together anymore, and I saw it coming, but it always hurts. It always hurts. So in my head, I had nothing left to live for. I wanted out. The devil had won. He came to destroy, and he destroyed me. I made a post on Facebook. It was my last post. It was supposed to be my last post. And I was crying. I took a picture and I posted it on Facebook, and I said goodbye. That was it for me. I turned off my phone and I left. Nobody knew where I was at. Nobody knew where I was going. I was deciding where I wanted to kill myself. Initially, I was going to go to my dad's house because I felt safe there, but I didn't want to do that to him. So I decided to go to the VA in Sacramento, so that way they could find my body there, and it would be maybe in the news that they failed, because I felt like they had failed to help me, help myself. So on the way there, my phone's off. I'm listening to very sad music, and I'm playing with a razor in my hand the whole time. So I finally get to the VA. I park, nobody's around, nobody knows I'm there. And I started cutting my hand. I started bleeding instantly. I just wanted to get used to the feeling that I was going to feel for my last time. Nobody knew where I was at. And I didn't care. I didn't care that my kids were going to grow up without a father. I thought it would be better for them. Lies. Lies that I thought were truth. So I started crying, and I cursed the Lord, using every word in my vocabulary that I could use to try to hurt him for hurting me, for doing this to me. The devil had won. I was ready to go. I called out one last time. If you were truly here, then you would stop me. I put my head down in shame. I started crying and I gripped the razor. It must have been 10 seconds that all this had happened. And I put the razor to my wrist and I looked up and the VA police was there. 5 units had made it to me and were knocking on my window. I don't remember the officer's name, but he talked me down. And I finally opened the door. My hand was still bleeding. They took me to the ER where they admitted me into the behavioral health intensive care unit. The next 3 months of my life was set on recovery. But after a week of being in the BICU, after 5 days of sleeping, I woke up and started to think about what happened, why I ended up there, how I ended up there, because it was supposed to be my last time. I wasn't supposed to be alive anymore. Nobody knew where I was at. How did they know? I had the audacity to call out the Lord's name in vain. And He still came and saved my life. It was an answered prayer. Strangely, I had enough peace in my heart after that. I learned to trust in the Lord. With all my heart after that. He was there the whole time. Even when I thought He wasn't. He was there, holding me, making sure I was okay. And in my last moments, He intervened. It's not my time. I know that now. And it's not whether I want to go. It's whether He's going to bring me home that day or not. My life isn't perfect. Far from it, actually. But I have such a trust in the Lord that He's going to guide me through everything. And I have this love for my children that I never had before. My family, everybody. My heart is not as cold as it once used to be. I'm still working on it. But it's no longer cold. I found the Lord again. And I'm a lot more happy since I found Him and started trusting Him again. I don't know where I'd be right now if He hadn't intervened, but I know I wouldn't be in heaven. I felt like I had to share my testimony because I want everybody to know that Jesus is there for you. He loves you. And it's not a, if He can love me, He can love you too. He loves us no matter what. Before we were born, loves us now, will always love us. So again, my name is Beto. You probably won't see me because I have crushing anxiety and I probably walked out already, if I even showed up today. But I just want to say thank you for listening to my testimony. And know that no matter what you're going through, the Lord is there. And He loves you. And even when you don't realize it, He's holding you and He's there. So thank you so much. I love you all. Sorry if it got a little too graphic for you, but that's my life.